Okay, so I said I'd do a video on my near-death experience. I was about, I'd say 25, right around there. I was back here with a buddy of mine. I had just gotten into construction, right around that time. And we had just done with the job we were working. My buddy was, doing his own thing. So we had just got done working at one of his customers' homes. They weren't home. And so, it was evening time, and we were sitting in the driveway doing whippets. So I did this whippet, and we were sitting down, and I did this whippet, and I went and fell straight back. And as soon as my back and my head hit the ground, I felt my body just, I mean, like fast, like hundreds of miles an hour, like flat as a board, all the way up. And it was just like going through like different phases of the sky, like light and darkness. I don't know. But then I came up, and then it was fast. But not long enough to like experience it. And like I remember just like being like, wow, I'm like going through the sky. And then so I came above the clouds or whatever, and it was this huge opening, right? Beautiful white, light blue, white, puffy billowing clouds with these gigantic, tall. I always took them immediately to be angelic figures, even though I couldn't make out details. I just always assumed, I guess with my upbringing, they were angelic figures, but they were huge, tall, and they were in like a circle, a semicircle, and I was coming up in the middle, flat on my back, and then at the front over here was God, Jesus, whoever the fuck it was, and he stood up, and I'm like, what the fuck? And now he was in detail. And he stood up, and he was massive with his massive hand, and he goes, "It's not your time." And slapped me with his big ass hand, and I just went, boom, like 50 times faster than I went up. I went back down, smacked down into my body, and I fucking came up off the ground and sat up quick as fuck, and I went, "Ooh." And I looked at my buddy and I said, "Man, I think I just went to heaven." I think I told him I think I just saw God or whatever I said. But yeah, so and the funny thing is I've told that story many times, but it never held anything for me. Like the whole feeling was off. I was like, the angels just had like no emotion. They were just, and like I said, I couldn't even make anything out. So I was just assuming, I guess from what I had been taught of what they were. But yeah, so there was no emotion there. And then, I don't know, it was very weird, very like non-emotional, non-loving. I always felt like when he said, "It's not your time yet," poof, I was like, fuck, man, what else the fuck do I gotta do, So, I don't know, it just wasn't clear, didn't make much sense. It wasn't like it made me believe in Jesus even more, not at all. It was just always another weird thing in my life that I was like, okay, I wonder where that fits in, I wonder what's going on with that. So that's it. I mean, it's not, there's nothing more to it, that I can remember right now. But what I would also like to do, since I'm on this subject, is just go ahead and get out, like, just in a string, all my spiritual, otherworldly type of deal things. And this is in no way going to be a complete list, but I'm starting to compile things and get things categorized in an order, and unjumbling them and getting my brain fog gone. So, I remember in both my childhood homes in Burke from the ages of 0 to 6, and then in front row on the mountain in the cabin from the ages of 6 to 16. I remember in both homes, bright lights. Like, I just remember being in bed and just bright lights coming through, like shining bright lights, and then just the memory fades. There's nothing left. I just remember bright lights many times. I remember bright lights other times in my life as well. Sleepwalking, again, as far as I can remember, that was only occurring from the ages of 0 to 6 in Burke. Night terrors, I had night terrors. I don't remember 0 to 6 in Burke having night terrors, but I do remember in on the cabin on the mountains 6 to 16 having night terrors, and I do remember having night terrors at other times throughout my life, adult life. The apparitions that I saw, of my dad, of my stepdad, in the cabin, that's the only time right now that I can remember. See, I have a feeling there's been probably many other times I've seen apparitions, but for right now, that's, and I also think I sort of remember seeing my mom down there too at times. And I just remember being once I figured out that it wasn't them, I just remember being so utterly terrified, like I couldn't move, like having a night terror, like just frozen and just couldn't move, because I just remember being like, if I don't move, if I don't breathe, they won't know I'm here, they'll leave me alone. That's, I remember those type thinking and feeling like that. Again, the floating incidents, I remember, about half a dozen to a dozen times, over at the side of the house, same side of the house, same general area. I'd say within about a 20-foot, diameter, area of where I would go out. I've never been able to remember why I went outside, but I remember it being so bad that I went outside to just, I remember just asking, like, if there's anything here that can help me, please help me, and that happening, and me being able to float, and it taking that burden off me. And like I said, like 6 to a dozen times. UFOs, I've seen UFOs many times in my life. I don't remember as a kid seeing UFOs. I do remember seeing Santa. Supposedly we saw Santa one year when I was a little kid, but like 3-4 years old. But that's a memory. It could have been a plane. But UFOs, yes, I've seen many UFOs. I'd say just a safe guess would be at least a dozen UFOs in my life with many different people. I've probably only seen the UFOs with this. I've seen UFOs a couple times with the same people. But yeah, it's not uncommon down here. I'm from Shenandoah Valley, Virginia. I've seen them up at night on the Skyline Drive, on hikes, just sky watching. I've seen them out fishing on the Shenandoah River. I've seen them, many, all over. And my definition of UFO would be a bright shining light in the sky that moves, stops, does whatever it does, darts back and forth, does weird things, does things that are completely unexplainable by anything else. In all this, so I wrote these things down, and the word that came to me was oppression. So I wrote that down as well. Again, I'll show you guys there's my card for this. Oh yeah, and then so I've seen people switch when drinking or doing drugs, and I mean switch, like something took over them and they would communicate to me, like weird shit, man. Like shit, like if the devil came into a person, that the devil would say to somebody to, like, get them to do something, you know what I mean? Weird. Like, so I've seen that, I can probably say about a dozen times in my life. And again, I was blacking out. I had a bad habit of I would drink all the time until I passed out every night, but I was having blackouts from drinking. Even like the last 2 years of my drinking, almost every night was a blackout. And what I mean is I would black out after 5 or 6 beers or a few shots of liquor in a beer, you know what I mean? And continue to drink until I passed out, but I would have no clue what happened after a few drinks, so it got really bad. So, yeah, I think that's good. Like I said, this is the most, I've never put all this stuff together before. I've never been able to. Again, this isn't a complete list, but this is a pretty good start. I welcome questions. Like I said, details. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, details. I'm getting more and more details as things come, but but it's just very overwhelming. I was talking to my daughter yesterday about that, about just the details and how it's just so fucking overwhelming. And like, even with my healing, if I have to, I will go into all the details of everything. But I'm just, still not even being healed. That's a big task to carry. So we'll see what happens.